Hey everybody, it's Mitch from the Istio project at Google again. In our last episode, I took on the role of an SRE whose service was having some problems with latency and errors. It was a little unclear what was going on. And like many SREs, didn't really have a good handle on exactly what services were involved, exactly what their dependencies were, or exactly where I could find all of their telemetry information. So we onboarded my services to Istio in about 5 minutes, and we found that we were able to identify really high latency in a couple of my services. We'll take a look at that again here in Grafana. Our review service looks like we're at about 5-second latency there, and our rating service was really bad yesterday as well. Oh man, yeah, still really bad. Looks like we're at about 10 seconds for the rating service. So we've not solved any problems, but we know that the problem has something to do with the ratings and review service. In this episode, we're going to dig into root cause analysis of the problem, as well as mitigation using the Istio APIs, and we're going to try to do that in less than 5 minutes. Also, if you're wondering how I got to this tooling, how I did the onboarding, what my services look like, please go back to episode 1, showed you how to set up your own environment so that you can follow along with me. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and close our Grafana session, and I'm going to open a Jaeger dashboard. We installed this again in episode 1. Let's see what Jaeger has to tell us. And specifically what I want to look for in Jaeger is I saw those requests from both reviews and ratings that had really long wait times. I want to see if this can tell me why that's happening, if we have any trace data explaining the duration. Okay, look at this. So most of our requests are coming through here are really, really fast. That doesn't even show on the graph for how fast that's going. We've got some requests like this one that are taking, looks like a little more than 2 seconds. And then we've got requests way up here in the above 6 seconds duration. So let's take a look at a few of these. Here's a healthy request. This one, reviews. Oh, look, reviews calls ratings. So now I've discovered one of my service dependencies. And reviews calls ratings. This went really fast. Everything looked good. Here's one that took 3 seconds. That one's a little bit different. We have the product page called default at 1.4 milliseconds. Oh, but here we go. Reviews. Reviews took 3.4 seconds, and it's not really clear what's going on there. Let's take a look at a few others. Specifically, we want to look for the bad ones, so we could go for a duration of 1 second minimum. We can filter these down and see kind of the bad requests. Okay, here we go. Here's one that takes 7 seconds. Look at this. Okay, so on this one, we can see really clearly that our product page relies on reviews, reviews relies on ratings, and the ratings request is taking 7 seconds to return. So that's clearly going to be a problem for our services. I suspect that some of them are going to time out before those 7 seconds are up. And that's why we're seeing this message here. The rating service is currently unavailable. My guess is that's going to be a timeout. Now let's talk about mitigation. What can Istio do to help us out with this? I don't know why my service is taking so long to respond, and I really don't have time to page one of the software engineers, get them in on the call. They're going to tell me that it's not actually taking a long time. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use the Istio API. I've read up a little bit on virtual services. Right now I don't have any. This will be my first virtual service here. All right, and taking a look at this virtual service, it's for the rating service, which we saw was taking too long. And specifically, we're telling anyone who's calling the rating service that they should retry up to 3 times. And on each of the retries, only wait a second for it to respond. Because if it's going to take 7, we just want to try again and see if we can get away from this service. Let's go ahead and try that. We'll try applying that. I've got a load generator just in a bash loop over here that's going to go ahead and increase load on the service or maintain load on the service. Oh, I've closed my Grafana dashboard, so I've got to open that back up again. Hit my refresh button. Okay, we're starting to see a response. Subjectively, I think we should also see a response if I just go through and click refresh a bunch of times. In our last episode, we saw it error 3 or 4 times. We saw it take a really long time. I'm still seeing some errors here, some timeouts. But overall, what I'm not seeing is the service taking a really long time to respond like it was, which is really the sort of degradation that we want for an e-commerce site. If reviews are unavailable, we can let the users know that reviews or ratings aren't going to work this time, but they're still able to see the details of the book. They're still able to check out and move forward, whereas before we were just blocking for what felt like forever. Okay, as more of the data has come through, we can definitely see the trend. That changed with no change in code. We've brought our P99 latency down to 2.35 seconds. That's still not a great user experience. I think that we can do better, but we've gotten to the point where users are able to continue using the website. The emergency is over. What we talk about here is that this is a mitigation, not a resolution. So in the next episode, what we're going to do is, in the meantime, I'm going to go talk to my engineer. We're going to find a resolution for this issue, try to figure out what bug is causing the rating service to take so long to respond. But I'm pretty skeptical as to whether or not they're going to get it right the first time on solving it. So in our next episode, we're going to roll out that solution slowly and carefully and see if it actually solves the root problem. And we're going to do all of that using the safety that the Istio Service Mesh offers. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.